Hey everybody, it's Maggie from Personal Euphoria with a little movement tip or body tip today. So we're just going to talk about what hip distance means, because very often in an exercise, if you're asked to stand hip distance apart, people take a wider stance. It's as if they're thinking like where you'd put your hands on your hips or even wider is hip distance apart. And the problem with that is that is not a neutral, that's not your femur coming into your pelvis in neutral, right? There's an angle and a torque there. So hip distance is where your femur lines up with your pelvis. So it's not as wide as putting your hands on your hips. Hip distance, if you kind of imagine where the bone in your leg comes somewhat straight up into your pelvis, right? That would be hip distance apart. So if you were going to go do a squat and someone says stand hip distance apart and you stand this wide, one, you're putting a funny angle into the pelvis, to where the femur meets the pelvis, and a funny torque on the knees, right? Versus hip distance where everything can track more in a neutral plane. So once you go wider for a squat, it's going to be safer for the knees to work and the pelvis to work and turn out. Right now, the body can handle a lot. So if you're doing a squat this wide, you can work to like strengthen the muscles to support the knees, but you're having to work on a level that's putting some kind of strain and effort onto them. Oh, sorry about that. So hip distance apart is definitely where the femur comes into the pelvis. All right, so that's what you want to look for. And then you want to think of that when you're standing, right? So again, the body can take a lot. So it's okay to stand with wide legs. I notice I often stand with my legs crossed, but all those positions put more strain, even if we don't feel it, on the pelvis. So once in a while, you want to stand legs hip distance apart, because that's going to be your most neutral position and sort of where you have the best base. So just think about that now and again, whether you're exercising or standing somewhere, and play with that a little bit. Have a great day and keep moving.